Guys, what's going on? Welcome back. Now, this would normally be the next day. However, it's been like a week since I've messed with this. Now, let me show you where we're at. So, this part here is what came out. This is the driver's side front. You can see all the weather strip adhesive I put in there because luckily I had some laying around. This whole thing was coming out, and then that was what was causing the seal that I now have flopped off, which there doesn't appear to be anything wrong with it. It's still pretty pliable. But that was keeping the seal from staying in place. So I re-glued all this back in. This is, I mean, that's pretty solid now. It doesn't seem to move like it did. So that should fix the problem of this. So now the seal will go back on, then I can put it back in the truck. Now, normally you'll need a gauge to set it so that way it's aligned properly, because the back's supposed to be slightly higher than the roof and the front's supposed to be slightly lower than the roof, and the water sheds off it. We're going to do it all by eyeball because I don't have one of those. So I'm going to get the seal put back on. It's a pain in the butt. It's probably going to be the worst process. The whole thing is putting the seal back on. Even though this one's been on here, this is going to fight me a little bit because you got to kind of come from the, which would be the top half, snap it and roll it over, and it'll almost be like a locking, but there's no click. It's just got to line back in the groove. There's so far one video I found on this on YouTube. There's other videos like how to clean the drains and all that stuff. I've seen a bunch of those, but there's only one other video how to actually replace the seal on this. So hopefully this helps everybody. So I'm going to start here and try and roll it back onto itself. It should hopefully go easily. I doubt it will because I know my luck. A lot of gunky dirt in there. That's what I'm going to do is get this put back on. When you do this, when you do replace it, they usually all come with little dots that'll show, you know, where the four corners need to be. And then there's usually the seam here, and then the replacement one, which this one's slightly different, but the replacement one's going to have it is right here, a weep hole on the bottom. That's got to be on the bottom side. That's what lets all the water drain down. So the seam goes dead center in the back. Usually the best idea if you're going to replace this whole thing is to mark the center of where the existing one is, and then start from there and go around. Luckily, when I did this, I only took the back half off. I didn't take the whole thing off because I only needed to fix a small section of the tractor here at the top. So I'm gonna get this back on. Fingers crossed it works, and I'll put it back in the truck. So this part here, which you can't even still see, I'll re-angle this for you. This part here slides in this part here. It's almost like a T all the way across this, and this kind of like rolls on like so, and then locks over it, and that's what holds it on. So like this part's back on here, but I got to get the rest of it on. So that's what we're going to do now. Okay, about a half an hour later, it's done. I hope. I know that it's all holding together now because it's not coming apart, but this is the side where all the goop was. Obviously that's all nice and held in there now. I'm a little worried about this part though, because it's kind of rolling, and I was worried about it when I glued it back in there because I was afraid that it wasn't really held in there well. We'll know once I get it up on the roof and see if I put it back together right once it shuts. I'll pretty much know because I'm going to run some water down through it. If water doesn't leak all over, then it should be good. So fingers crossed. Let's get it back up on the roof, and then I'll show you that part of getting it aligned and everything else. You guys only know how tight this really was right now. Oh. All right, so there's little nubs that kind of get dropped in, and this will go down in the track. I won't know until I go on the inside if I got it. Stand by. Okay, so it's in. I can tell it looks better than it did. I'm gonna be nervous. But the first thing I'm gonna do is they're T25s, two on this side, two on that side. I'm gonna put them back in loosely. You want to get them tight enough so that you can still move the glass, but you don't want it so loose that the glass is flopping all over the place. So we're gonna loosely get them tightened up, and then I'm gonna open it up, slide it underneath, and I got a bunch more goop here I gotta clean off that I think is gonna affect the seal. Fingers crossed this doesn't mess up and this works. I can tell you this looks better than it did, so it's not great, but I don't think it's going to leak anywhere near as bad as it did. This part right here is the only part that worries me a little bit because it's a little bit lower. I can't really get the tool down in there, and I think it's sealing. The other side obviously looks better. That wasn't the side that was the issue. And the back's fine. It was just right in here. This from about, well, you can see where it was. From about here to back here, this whole big stretch was all full of goop. Now when I hit the button, the sunroof actually opens. It's kind of nice. It's a nice feature to have. Because it really annoyed me that didn't work. I mean, it's dirty in there. I gotta clean the track up, but now it works like it should. I can tilt it. This is great. One step in the right direction. So now I gotta work on getting the gas tank out. Not gonna be fun. Doesn't look horrible. It's really crusty on the other side. The other thing I noticed, the entire back side of the engine is covered in oil. It's dripping everywhere. For some reason it hasn't dripped on my floor yet, but it's dripping everywhere. Eventually I got to look into that. I have a feeling when I looked at it quick, I think the valve covers are actually what's leaking. So maybe I'll get lucky because I'm hoping when they took the transmission off of this and fixed whatever they fixed, if the rear main seal was bad, they would have said, hey, do you want us to fix that while we're in here? Because it's like an extra $30 in parts. It's not much. Well, it might be 50 now with, the inflation we're dealing with. So we're going to tackle the gas tank, I think, next. The back strap's been replaced. The front strap is the original strap. Luckily, when I went to go test it with the 1/2-inch ratchet and the 15mm socket, it turned. To the point it's almost all the way out right now. That's what I want to do, is try and cut that thing out of there. So we got to get that dropped out, get the tank dropped down. I have a feeling it's going to be the fuel pump, which I've looked around in our area. $400 is what it's going to cost me to replace it, which I think I did one of my 97 Tahoe that was, I want to say maybe $100. Granted, that was almost 20 years ago, but everything goes up. So we got to get that gas tank dragged out underneath there. There's videos on that. I won't bore you. We'll get it to the point of, right now. Oh, I'm just kidding. Right now, when this, scene changes, the gas tank will be out. For you guys to be like half a second. For me, it's going to be about 4 hours, a lot of cussing and swearing. I'll have it out. As I said in the next frame, the gas tank will be out. You can see what the problem is here. Is that, I broke both these off because they were totally rotted, but you can see where the gas has been leaking here. So I'm not sure. Looks like the O-ring might have possibly failed. Not 100% sure. I'm going to have to get the shop back out and clean all this up so I don't get any rust down inside the tank. You notice there's daylight behind me because it's the next day. So I'm unfortunately going to have to go to see my good buddy Ed Vance and buy a $400 fuel pump for this. So we're going to vacuum all this mess up, run down to Advance, go pick up a new one, and put it in and fight to put it back together. It should go together, hopefully, fingers crossed, a little easier than it came apart. Because this is really the stupidest design ever. This vent line right here that goes to this fitting, there's a cross member that goes across this. This has to go over the cross member. Not to mention the two plugs. Oh, that's a joy to try and get to. Doing that kind of blindly. And then these parts here, the actual send and return line. Just broke them off. Not going to use them anyways, because once I got it down far enough, I can see the gas starting to come out. I'm like, there's the problem. New one's in. About 3 hours later, we ended up having to get a new locking ring for it because the old one, that wasn't coming out. This vent line was kind of a mess, but I think it'll be all right the way we fixed it. So everything's kind of back together. We just got to get it back under the truck, and then hopefully everything works. Several hours later, some nicks, cuts, a few cuss words, and some wrenches I have to find because I threw them across the garage somewhere. It's done. It's fixed. It actually runs pretty good now. So what happened was when I was taking the tank down, I noticed that the line that sends the gas up to the fuel rails, well, when I grabbed it, it kind of went and came off. There was nothing left on it. So I have a feeling that was leaking. That's what was causing the gas to go everywhere. It's causing the smell when it was sitting, because that's just, kind of open up to the bottom. There's really, other than the pump that pushes it up through, the smell is going to come up through that pretty easy. Runs like a top now. Smooth at idle, it would kind of like run rough because it's losing its prime. Not an issue anymore. $367. That sucks. But I don't care because it's a good truck. So the next step is we got to get the glue off it. I got to do some paint correction because I'm not going to get too crazy. The lights that are still on the body, on this side, the other side, and the back. Buddy of mine's going to help me. We're going to get them off, weld the hole shut, put some little bit of filler, kind of smooth it up. And then I'm actually going to see what it's going to cost to get both fenders done, both rear fenders done, and the rear hatch done. And then other than looking at the roof, you would never know this was ever a Chiefs car. It's just going to look like a regular Tahoe. One problem I did notice when I was underneath it for the last, several days, there's oil all over the front of it. It's not leaking on the driveway. It's not leaking out anywhere. I'm not really losing it. I don't know if it's the rear main seal. I'd be very, very surprised because I'm pretty sure the transmission came out of this when they fixed it. I'd be very shocked if they didn't replace the rear main seal on this. I don't think it's that. It looks like it's coming from up higher. It might be the two valve covers. I'll find out. Our local GM dealership around here, I might take it down there to them and have them tell me where the oil's coming from and probably get it fixed. I intend on driving this for a while. I am a sucker for Tahoes. I love Tahoes. I love my Duramax. I love the Corvette that's tucked away in the garage. But I am a sucker for these. I had an 07 like I've shown before. And if you haven't seen it, go back and watch a couple of videos. You'll see it beyond the reveal video of this one. I always wanted the Z71 in this color. Kind of wish this had heated seats, but I don't care because it's got leather. So it's a quarter of the way there. But that's it for this episode. The next one, I don't know what we're going to do. You'll have to come back and see. So please like, subscribe, have the bell notification on, and we'll catch you in the next one. Apparently I can't speak.